Hey everyone, welcome to the Single Player Experience podcast. As always, I'm your host Sebastion Malden, and joining me today is the sensation himself. He's the host of Reg in the ATL podcast. He's the host of Just the Stats podcast. He is the one, the only Reg, the human encyclopedia when it comes to sports. Absolutely. I mean, I kid you not. He's the human encyclopedia when it comes to sports. So this is Reggie Johnson. Reggie, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I really feel like with that announcement, I should be running into the ring, man. Like, I feel like you just talked me up and I need to be running from the locker room into the ring, jumping in there, hopping on the ropes and everything. That was very amazing, man. I might cut that and listen to that constantly.
Oh yeah, it's WrestleMania season. I had to bump you up. Man. How you doing, though?
Man, amazing, man. I love to come on and talk some games, man. I don't get a chance to talk it enough, man. So, I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
For sure. We're gonna have to have you nerd out on the show a lot more because it's always dope vibes. So Reggie, what have you been playing lately?
Lately, man, I've been into Persona and it's been a issue for me. It's an issue right now. I changed my watch face to a Persona watch face. I am a grown man. I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know why I did that, but I did do it so that me and Persona could be together all the time. Now it's like, now we never have to ever leave because I have a life and I have to actually adult and do stuff. So it's like, I started with Persona 4 Golden. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
I am a massive fan of the Persona series. So
4, oh my God. So here's where I started. I started with 5 in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Persona 5 2017. Okay. Now I had a friend of mine who's used to play Golden a lot, and it was like crack for him. He played it all the time, and I did not understand it. Now I will tell you, the JRPG genre is my favorite genre. It's my favorite genre because I get addicted to it. This is what's happening now. And I will play it a lot. I'll just level grind. I'll just have days where I do nothing but like level grind all day, just running around in circles, leveling up. So I started with 4 on Game Pass because Game Pass came out with a remaster. So Game Pass had the remaster, and I started with 4. So played 4, man. I want to say I put 120 hours into that.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, when did it come out? Like on Game Pass. It wasn't too long ago.
No, I think December, right? Like somewhere around there. It hasn't been that long.
Yeah, I put 120 hours on 4. Got off 4, and I was just looking around, man. It was amazing. It was amazingly great. And I'm looking around like, what do I play next? And at the time I was playing Harry Potter, and when I got off of it, and I think Harry Potter's a great game. So I was playing Harry Potter on the 5 at the time when I got off to play Persona on the Xbox. So I played 4. I looked around. I was looking for another JRPG. I downloaded Dragon Quest because I was like, okay, well, I need something. I need something to scratch the itch here. Download Dragon Quest, but
it didn't hit the same, did it?
It didn't, only because I kept looking at Persona 5 right there again. And I'm like, well, if I just want to scratch my Persona itch, why not just scratch it with Persona again? And then I went into 5. Now, the Royal is so dope, and it is so different than 5 in general. And it's been 6 years since I played 5, the original 5 when it first came out. It's been 6 years. So I kind of remember the storyline, but I didn't remember it like that. So what ended up happening was I downloaded 5, and I am currently thinking about it now, and we'll be playing it today.
It's so good, man. Like Persona 5 Royal might be one of my favorite games of all time. Like,
it's very dope.
It's in my top 5 for sure. And it's like the way that you balance that work life, also superhero like balance, you're balancing that whole life calendar out. It just feels good. And then like it has like this jazzy lo-fi music that plays in the background that kind of lulls you into that sense of
thing, man. It will bake into your brain, man. That background music,
man. I'm hearing it right now. Like I haven't played that game in probably like months at the point, but I can hear that.
There we go.
I can hear it. I can hear it. Like I'm in that coffee shop. And I'm just like chilling. I'm chilling the vibes. I love that game. It's absolutely amazing. And like the fact that they added, like with Persona 5 Royal, that extra semester.
That's where I'm at. I'm right there. That when I say I'm thinking about it now, I'm right there. I'm right at the end of what I recognize and cannot wait to get into that new semester situation. And another thing too is I feel like they added enough quality of life differences there, Sebastion, because
it feels faster.
It's different. It's quicker, right? It's quicker, more efficient. You know what I mean? Like it's just not that same grind in certain areas, especially with Mentos. It's not that same like horrible grind that I remember going through before, because it's like there's some of these times where some of these games get very grindy to me, and I don't want to go back to them. I remember back in the day when I played Dragon Age, and I want to say there was a certain part and where we were like in mines, a dwarven mines or something like that, and I remember the grind of that, and it always kept me from going back to that game, because I'm like, man, I don't want to go through that particular grind again. But I do love this series. Do you think there will be a 6, man? What are your thoughts on that?
For sure. Atlas is definitely going to do a 6.
When is that happening, man? Like, have you heard anything?
No, the crazy thing is there's always like a sizable gap in between the Persona games, and like they've been doing a lot of Persona 5 spin-offs right now. So
That's
like
noticed.
Yeah, but I just I haven't heard anything, but like my inkling is that 2024 is going to be the announcement, 2025 is probably going to be the drop. But like, I feel like it's been so long, and they're they always do one every generation, guaranteed.
Okay.
Guaranteed. So I'm like, we've been in this PS5 generation now for heading towards 3 years at this point. So I'm like, next year will be that 4-year marker, and that kind of mirrors, I think, that Persona 5, Persona 4 kind of like timeline as well. So I think like we're getting very close to that.
I at least want the announcement, man. I don't pull a Rockstar situation on us, man, because Rockstar is like, listen, bro, we're making too much money with GTA 5. Like we'll get to 6, and we don't know when. I don't know what age I'm gonna be when I get to play GTA 6. I'm being a freaking old man by the time I get to play GTA 6, and I don't want that situation. You fall in love with certain series and franchises, right? Yeah. And then the releases are almost a decade apart. You're like, wow, what's going on? Like, look at Skyrim and all that. Like, Skyrim's not even thought about, right? We got a screenshot for Skyrim, I think, and everybody went crazy for like a splash screen of Skyrim. And everybody goes crazy. They showed nothing. You know what I mean? So that stuff is kind of interesting. Did you play the Dead Space remake? I got that too. I got that originally before I even got into like Harry Potter and stuff like that.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a chicken, so I've very like I don't really dive into the horror centric kind of genres, but Dead Space remake is one that I've heard very good things about, and it makes me intrigued enough that I might just fight my fears, fight my whole lifestyle of avoiding all horror centric things and try it out. But like it's one of those things to where I'm like, I don't know, I do not know, because like I'm also feeling that same itch when it comes to like Resident Evil 4, like RE4.
Which I've heard is amazing.
Phenomenal is what I've heard.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you know what's interesting about that is I haven't done. Maybe I'll put that on when I get out of my Persona situation that I'm in right now. Maybe that's what I go to next. I really wanted to kind of knock off that Harry Potter and kind of get through that and finish that, and then kind of go to whatever next game I was going to go to. And I do remember Resident Evil 4 back in the day being a great game. But it's interesting with how well received it is from everybody that I'm hearing. I'm like, this game, how amazing can a game be? I've gamed for so many years, decades. How amazing can this game be where I'm hearing so much about it that I feel like I'm going to be forced to play it?
So from what I understand, it's like it's that same thing we were talking about of Persona 5, of like we liked the game, but like Persona 5 Royal adds that quality of life improvements that just kind of like makes everything feel more modernized and more respectful of gamers' times. And RE4 remake is very much that same thing, to where like I hear a lot of people talk about like, oh, they added parrying now, and that changes like the gameplay. It makes it feel like a modern day game. Like the RE engine, for instance, makes it feel like it's a lived in like modern day game. Like the fact that like the vantage point, it's like it feels like a modern day shooter versus like that old school janky kind of like the camera kind of moves in a weird kind of way, like gameplay that we got in the early 2000s. Like it feels like a modern day experience is what I'm being hearing. But again, this is in a horror centric genre, so I have to gather the courage, so to speak, and try it out. But I told myself, I'm like, I'm gonna at least one of these games, Dead Space remake or Resident Evil remake, I'm gonna play to completion before this year is up. That because like it's so big in the game of the year conversation, I feel like I got to at least do one justice.
You know, Dead Space, I played it, and it obviously didn't do enough to hold my attention. You know what I mean? Because I went searching for something else to play. Like if it was a Persona type, like I wouldn't have been longing for anything. I only have so much time. I can't play a billion games. So it's like I would have kept playing it if I really felt like it was great. Maybe because it came out around the time that Harry Potter did, and I really felt like Harry Potter was going to be Game of the Year candidate when it first came out. Because I'm like, this here, I really enjoyed Harry Potter. I feel like I would enjoy it more if I was just like a huge Harry Potter fan. I'm casual Harry Potter fan, but I felt like this is amazing for anybody who really loves Harry Potter. I felt like would really love this game because of how much the detail they put into certain parts of Hogwarts that would be missed on a person like me who just not really into the books and stuff like that. You know, people who really into Harry Potter lore. And so maybe because I was playing Dead Space around that time, it was a situation where I just didn't resonate with me. And sometimes there's certain games I play that are remakes that I replay them, and I just feel like I'm just not that person anymore, man. Like
I hear you.
I'm not that guy. I felt that way with Kingdom Hearts. Like Kingdom Hearts, when the very first Kingdom Hearts come out, oh, it's crack. I'm all over it, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward to like my adult life now, and when the last iteration of Kingdom Hearts,
Kingdom Hearts 3,
yeah, came out, I started it up, and I was like, you know,
it don't hit the same.
It's past, bro. Like that time has passed me by. You know what I mean? It's not for me.
It's funny you should mention that because I felt the exact same way about Kingdom Hearts 3. It's like I was playing that and I was just like, okay, this plays kind of like what I remember it playing like, but it doesn't have any of the modern day nuances that I like in games now. And I'm also like a lot of the levels feel like they're just the same levels, or at least like very similar to the levels I played back in the day, except for Toy Story and Frozen at this point. And I'm like, you didn't really give me a whole lot of new stuff. And at this point, I'm like, what am I here for? Like at that point, what am I here for?
What am I doing here?
Yeah, exactly. So I left and I fell in love with that's when I really got into Yakuza Like a Dragon around that time. And
interesting.
I love that. That
really?
you talking about Persona itch. Like Yakuza Like a Dragon is like the closest game that I've seen that made me feel very like almost like in that same vein of Persona, to where like I know it feels like a JRPG. It has that wackiness that I kind of like, but it has that hard hitting, like very real kind of story that kind of goes on.
That's what I like as well.
Oh my goodness. And the fact that you can kind of like get to know like the side characters and get to develop relationships with them, whether or not they be like actual intimate relationships or whether or not they just be like lifelong friendships. Oh, it's the exact same thing. It's like,
really?
Oh,
maybe I should go down the road, man.
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
I should go down there.
It's turn-based as well. It's turn-based as well. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for turn-based, man. I'm a sucker for it.
Turn-based as well. They have like it's not the same like I guess you could say the gameplay as far as like Yakuza is more like goofy, but it has real life elements to it. For instance, like your main character is fighting with like a baseball bat, and like he's just teeing off on people with this baseball bat. But he does have like, because in his head he's imagining these larger than life things happening as well. So he's imagining himself like DBZ style powering up before he uses the baseball bat. But that's all in his head. But in real life, you are fighting the people that you're fighting, so to speak. So it kind of adds that kind of like goofy element to it. But it is Persona, except like Persona actually is taking like its lore seriously, in the sense that like Persona, you are fighting these like creatures that nobody else can see versus each other. Persona is more like Pokemon. Yakuza is more like you're just using the characters that you are like that's in your party, and these characters have like skills and jobs that allow them to have these unique abilities and fighting styles.
That's interesting. That's interesting because I got turned off kind of by the series in the sense that when it was, was more like action RPG type situation with RPG elements, I should say. So whenever I'm playing action games, and this is going to sound very petty, people listen, like whenever I'm playing action games, if I hit somebody, and this is like Tekken had this issue versus Mortal Kombat. You hit Mortal Kombat, you punch somebody, blood comes out. Tekken, you punch somebody, there's this like weird blue spark that comes out. And I am just I'm not here for it whatsoever. I'm not sure if this is like just for certain Asian games, they don't want to put blood in there. They don't want to have that kind of violence. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like that turned me off to some of the Yakuza games. And in the beginning, though, I really liked them. I've played quite a few. So when I say turn me off, maybe I'm just not playing them as much anymore. Maybe they kind of passed me by in that sense as well. But I have played quite a few of them, though.
The reason why I like Yakuza Like a Dragon versus like, because I'm the same way. I do not care that much for the brawler style in like Yakuza games, but Yakuza Like a Dragon is turn-based JRPGs, and
I did not know that, man.
Oh,
what? That is amazing.
And that makes it hit different because it's like it takes all the stuff that I didn't like about the Yakuza games, as far as it, like the combat always felt like it was like you said, Tekken. It almost felt like a open world Tekken game. And I'm like, that's not who I am as a gamer either. So I'm like, when you switch that to being a turn-based game, to where like you can like develop skills and develop like you can have like jobs, and those jobs equal you being better at a particular fighting style in a turn-based sense, and I'm all in. And the fact that you can have like your relationships with characters can build into like combo moves and special moves and such like that, I'm like, oh, that's Persona to the T. And I'm like, you got me on that part.
What is a play time on that? Is that you spend about the same amount of time that you spend on Persona?
Yeah, very similar.
Because I like a deep dive, man, when in my JRPGs. Maybe going back to my Final Fantasy days. I just like deep dives when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm probably going to. That might be the next. I might have just got my next game on this show.
Yeah,
something that can wean me off. Wean me off Persona. I need something that kind of give me the same genre at least. I don't need a Persona, but at least I can get another JRPG.
Yeah, I will say it's like one of those things to where like I think I would probably estimate it'll take you, if you mainline it and don't do any side stuff, maybe 60 hours. But if you are
just what I need.
Yeah, but if you're a person who gets like deep into it, like, and you can't get out of that funk, you're that person who's probably going to put in 100 to 140 hours in. Because I'm like,
there we go.
I'm looking at my like playtime right here on another screen of Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I'm at 98 right now.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it. Sold. Yeah. Sold. I'm there, bro.
And here's the cool part. This is what's gonna really, like, you already sold, but I'm gonna add that little cherry on top of the Sunday. It's on Game Pass.
Oh man, I'm there.
It's on.
I've been living on Game Pass, man. Like, you know what's interesting is that's what my Xbox is, a Game Pass machine. That's what it is. It is a Game Pass machine. I buy all my games. So my games, my brother has a 5, so we're always on like 2K and Madden and stuff. We're like that on the 5, right? Mm-hmm. And then Xbox, when I bought my Xbox, I bought it because of this. Like, I'm going to buy it, and it's just going to be a Game Pass machine. Whatever's on Game Pass is what I'm playing. And I like to see that certain things are hitting day one, like the MLB. The MLB is amazing. I really want to get into Wulong, only because I liked Neo like so much. And I don't know if you played Neo or fan of the Souls genre games, but so the Souls genre games are always hard for me to recommend because I love them. When I tell you I love them, I can put hours into Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. I could put hours into Elden Ring. Forget about it. Put 200 hours into Elden Ring last year. It took over my spring, summers, or my winter, spring time. You know, it was Elden Ring. Bloodborne. Sekiro, even though one game of the year, wasn't as great for me. Oh. Only because of the lore. Like, I like the lore of Dark Souls. Sekiro felt more, of course, supernatural, but kind of still grounded in some kind of reality. Whereas Dark Souls and Bloodborne are completely the lore I love about those games. And same thing with Elden Ring. I completely love the I believe the George Martin collaboration there was amazing on Elden Ring. So I really, really enjoyed the lore there as well. The thing is about those Soulsborne games is that if the lore doesn't hit for me, I'm not going to grind through the hard parts. And we all know those games are difficult. So yeah, I'm not going to grind through the difficult parts if the story's not there what I wanted to be. And that's what I ran into with Sekiro. Even I did put maybe 30, 40 hours ish into it when it got really, really hard. I didn't care about the story enough to invest more time.
That's how I thought about Wulong. That's exactly to the T.
It's interesting because I heard comparisons about Wulong being more like, because, you know, Neo was very Souls-like to me. And it's compared to a lot of the Souls genre games. And one of the reviews that I read about Wulong was comparing it more to a Sekiro bite type situation.
It is more
like
Sekiro
bite. Any game, it's more of a Sekiro bite than the other Soulsborne games that I love. Now, what's interesting about that is I do want to like it, man. I was very happy that game was coming to Game Pass day one. I was excited. I was there at midnight, 12:01. I was on there. Then I played it, and I'm like, I'll just.
This ain't the king. Yeah, this is not the king right here. The crazy thing is like Neo made me feel like that. Like, Neo made me feel like it was almost like Souls-like in a sense, to where
sure.
Yeah, Neo made me feel that way. Sekiro made me feel like this was like anime Souls, to where like You know, like, because a lot of you're running really fast. You're like a samurai slash ninja kind of like characters and such like that. You have this really cool parry system, and it almost looks like FromSoft, who was masterful at all these like
Oh
the
man,
Dark Souls games and such
yes,
like that.
excellent.
Watched like all these people just started watching anime, and then they made Sekiro. Well, like Wulong feels like a mixture between those. It's like it feels like it still has that Neo DNA, but it feels like it has Sekiro's parry system, and they also are very much. It feels very Chinese inspired as far as the mythology goes, and then like you add in like the Chinese style weapons and such like that. It's a really cool premise, but where I feel like it falls short is because like I could not care less about any character, including my own character.
Not invested whatsoever.
No, I couldn't care any less about anybody. I couldn't remember. Like they did not do a good job in that game, in my opinion, of really fleshing out the world and the characters in that to where like you in this game, as opposed to Neo and as opposed to like Sekiro, you have companions that accompany you in the parts of these games. Just like in Elden Ring, when you can like manifest a companion, so to speak. You can summon. You can like it's almost that same thing, except they're real and they're tangible. You know, like they're just real people.
But you don't care about them either. But
don't care about them at all. At all. Like they might as well be random NPC 1 and random NPC 2. They could have been named that, and it would have been the exact same character, like exact same thing. And I think that's what you were talking about earlier. Like if I'm not interested in that lore, it's hard for me to get over that grind part. And like I beat 3 bosses of that game, and then when I ran up into that 4th boss, and he was just smacking me from left side to the right side, and I'm like, I could not find an opening. I just thought to myself, I'm like, I'm not having fun. I don't care about any of these characters, and honestly, I don't care if my main character saves the day or not. At this point, I'm out. So I'm like,
wow.
I fell off, and it was just I went back to playing Hogwarts Legacy, while like smacked that up a couple of bit, like rounded up and got all that I needed to out of that game, beat that game, and then went on to the next challenge. And now I'm looking at Wulong Fallen Dynasty, and I'm like, that was a fun 4 hours where I initially put into it. But outside of that in between that 4 to 16 hours, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this kind of feels like more like a chore than actually like fun gameplay. And I think that's just who I am as a gamer, not necessarily indicative of the game itself. Are you going to really jump back into it?
I mean, I want to, but I mean, like a dragon's up next now. I mean, there's I already know my path. You know what I mean? I know what my spring is pretty much looking like here. You know, and plus the games that I'm looking forward to. So they're gonna be the Star Wars will be coming out. I want to say there's gonna be games that are still gonna be releasing in the backdrop of me playing the games that I'm playing now. Yeah. So they kind of queue up. You know what I mean? To like what I'm looking to go for next, you know, and there's only really one game as I even look through the landscape of the rest of the year. There's only really one game I'm looking forward to. And I want to say it's Starfield.
Over Spider-Man?
The Spider-Man I'm going to play. I'm going to play. But I feel like Bethesda games for me are just amazing. I love that company. I love Bethesda. It's like FromSoft. All I got to see is a FromSoft splash. It's over with. I'm copping. Like it doesn't matter. As soon as I see that it's a FromSoft game, I'm going to buy it. Okay. Same. Bethesda is the same thing. As soon as I see Bethesda comes out with anything, I'm going to purchase it. So Starfield I've been waiting for so long. That's another reason that I bought Xbox, because you know when Xbox bought Bethesda, or when Microsoft bought Bethesda, it ended up taking it exclusive. To the chagrin of many gamers who are really pissed about that, because they waited so long, you know, Bethesda announced it so long ago. It's been in development so long. It gets pushed out of some of the release windows it's had in the past. And it's something now that it's been looking forward to. I really felt at the time when they pushed it into 2023 that it was going to be a spring release.
Yeah, most of us did.
But I think it's a fall release, though. I want to say I don't think it's releasing anytime soon. So that gives me some time to kind of get through my queue of games, so to speak here. But I really, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like when am I going to find time to go back to Wulong? I want to like it. I really do, because I like Neo so much. You know what I mean? That I just want to like it. I like Neo 1 and Neo 2. I want to like it, but it doesn't have the same kind of Dark Souls type grind, because I like Dark Souls so much I'll play the knockoffs Dark Souls. That's how much I love Dark Souls. So but it doesn't it's not the same. So I'm like, I don't know. And now I'm very anxious to get through Persona and give this like Dragon a try, and I just got to figure out what's gonna happen after that, man. And maybe I do still need to go back to Harry Potter. I would go back to Harry Potter way before I would go back to Wulong. I can more invested in Harry Potter.
I can understand that.
Hours into that game.
I can understand that. And by the way, September the 6th, Starfield's official release date now.
September the 6th is interesting.
So here's my thing. It's like, I feel like, this is the window now. If you were to ever go back to Wulong this year, this is the window. Like in between now and Jedi Fallen Order, or Jedi, like I can't remember the.
I'm trying to figure out what's the release for, because that's coming soon, man.
That's May. Jedi Survivor. I mean, it's April 28th.
So that's going to be pretty soon, man. If I don't get to it before then, man, like who knows?
Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm telling you, it's a wrap. It's almost like you were saying with Dead Space. I'm like, you don't see yourself just going back and playing Dead Space at this point.
No, man. It's out of the because there's only so much time, right? Because I game a lot, but I still have like a life and work and responsibilities and stuff like that, and everything that kind of comes with that.
Yeah.
So I kind of game around that. I don't have the time anymore to just sit down days on end and just be gaming. So you have to be more selective about where I'm choosing those moments at. You know what I mean? So they have to do more to compete for my time, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because there's certain games I'm always playing. Like, so any sports game like 2K, MLB, those games are always going to be getting played. Like no matter what. I don't have the mental bandwidth to play more than maybe 2 story-based games at once, but that's not really my habit. My habit is to deep dive a game, and then I'm still playing my Madden, 2K.
It's your relax and chill game.
Like correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I get what you mean.
Don't see that. It's just there's not gonna be space. You know what I mean? It might get pushed out of this year at this point.
and that's the dangerous thing, because if it gets pushed out of this year, there's always something next year that's on deck, and then the year after that, same thing. And then the game feels old at that point.
Yes, and stale.
Yeah, and it's out of sight, out of mind. So it's like there's only a small window where you really just have to strike while the iron's hot for a lot of gamers. And for Wulong, if this game hit with you as a listener, then congratulations. But for a lot of us, it's just like it kind of didn't hit, and now it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. And I feel like that's kind of like how it is, period, in the landscape of gaming today. But I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, how far are you into Hogwarts Legacy right now?
I'll probably have got, if I can say hour-wise, because I don't know story-wise, because I've been in Persona Land for so long that I don't know. I don't remember where I was in Hogwarts, but I do know. You know how some people say you never forget you might forget what a person says, but you remember how they make you feel. I remember feeling good playing the game. Like I remember when I was playing the game, I felt good playing it. Like, I remember I was having fun. Hour wise, I would say I probably have put about 20 to 30 ish into it. And I would say if I was just to go, let's just go 100% out of 100% completion, I've probably gone through about 30 to 40. I don't even know if I've approached the halfway point yet.
Okay.
It's like approaching, but I really enjoyed it though. I think it's a great game. I remember when it first came out, I don't know if I was just on like a sugar high at the time, but I was like, this is game of the year, man. This is going to be game of the year nominee, man. Like that's what I was thinking. And I still think that it may be nominee. I got to look at these other releases that come out and see because I really feel like Starfield's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy hitting. You know what I mean? Only because of the amount of time that people waited for the game, the studio behind the game. It's hard to go up against Bethesda in any given release year with games they come out with. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And I'm interested to see what you said, Star Wars. And do we get Spider-Man this year? Is there another Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man rumored to have a date in October now. So I'm like, yeah, and they already guaranteed it's 2023. So
okay, so I was gonna say they're convinced it's in this release cycle, so it's gonna be a 23 release cycle.
Yeah, so I'm like, all the big three have a like Nintendo, PlayStation, and Sony. All in Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox have like all of them have like a major title.
Zelda, they got a Zelda game coming this year.
Oh, Breath of the Wild 2.
Is it actually coming in 2020?
Yeah,
23 as well.
It's next month. It's
So
next month. Yeah.
that's also like that's still, and I don't
Tears of the
have
Kingdom.
I don't have a Switch, but it's game of the year all contender almost the moment it drops, right? As
Instantly.
soon
Yeah.
as it drops, it's gonna be game of the year contender. That's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough because I think as you go now, the thing about Elden Ring, because Elden Ring released early in last year as well, and you know that as time goes on, people can be present of the moment, and then they
Yeah.
can just what was the last great game release type situation. I don't know if Hogwarts is gonna have the same
It's not gonna
carry
have the
throughout the
legs.
year
No.
that Elden Ring did. Elden Ring had massive legs through the year, and I don't know if Hogwarts is gonna have the same legs. Going up against very heavy hitters in Zelda and any game Bethesda releases because it takes them so long to release games.
No. I think you're right on the money because like an article just came out like not too long ago. I think it was from Kotaku and everything like that. But like there is the player count is dropping super fast for Hogwarts Legacy. I think like I'm pulling up the article right now and it says, let's see, especially on Twitch users, highlighted the fact that the number of active Hogwarts Legacy players have dropped from nearly 900,000 to 75,000 in the span.
Whoa.
Yeah, in the span of a couple of weeks.
That's less than 10%.
Yeah. The Twitch viewership has dropped from 1.2 million to around 16,000 for that game.
Oh, so my God. What are they watching? Like where do they go?
Yeah, like, what, like as far as like to watch the game?
Yeah, because I'm thinking like if you're not watching that, I can see if you had a lot of competition out right now, right? And they're like, okay, they jumped from this game to this game, or their viewership's gone from this game to this game. I would say that's where FromSoft has it so on lock when it comes to their Twitch and people watching their games. People watch on FromSoft games all throughout the years of their release. So people are watching and playing Elden Ring all throughout the year last year. It's interesting to see that much of a drop. And I mean, what can I say? I'm not playing it no more. Like I'm in there. I'm counted in that number.
Yeah, it's one of those things to where like I'll be real with you. Like I beat Hogwarts Legacy and I'm a massive, like, I know you said you're a casual like Harry Potter fan. I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. Like day one, I know my house. I know like a whole bunch of different things. I do trivia on Harry Potter. Like I'm in there like swimwear for Harry Potter things. But like this game to me felt like it got worse the more it continued on.
I've heard the same from my other Harry Potter loving friend. He said it was rinse and repeat grindy element to it. He said as time went on for him. So 1 out of 10, what would you have rated it? If you were 6, wow,
6, yeah. Goodness, I don't think this is
gracious.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this is the best Harry Potter game we've gotten ever, but I don't think this is a good Harry Potter game. It's like I think that's the difference. I like if I'm looking at like, okay, put it like this: you and I are big comic book fans, right? Like, sure. Okay, so like if Spider-Man came out this fall and like they ignored all the mythology of Spider-Man, like completely took off a lot of the rules that made Peter Parker who he is. Like if Peter Parker without Venom involved just started like absolutely just murking people, killing them left and right, like almost like Superman Man of Steel where he like kills Zod and starts yelling out into the abyss. If Peter Parker was doing that, we would think to ourselves, I'm like, this doesn't feel like Peter Parker, right?
No, it'd have been too many liberties, man. Don't take the liberties with that source material like that. I'm not a fan.
Exactly. So in Hogwarts Legacy, you can use the unforgivable spells in front of teachers, in front of like officials, in front of like aurors and teachers and such like that. And in that mythology, like just using that spell is a one-way trip to their prison, Azkaban. You don't even have to connect with it. You could just use it on a bird. It's a one-way trip to Azkaban. But in that game, you can use that in front of teachers. You can use those
with no repercussions.
No repercussions. They don't even tell you anything about it. Like you go on like companion missions with like your other people other students and such like that you know, and you can use those spells in front of them, and there might be like, oh, you're playing with dark magic a little bit, but like they don't really bat an eye to the fact that you're using something that is a taboo in their whole society. And it's not even just that. It's like you're a 5th-year student at this point. Like there is a very strict like set of code and rules to being in Hogwarts. Like, if you remember the Harry Potter movies, like he couldn't even be out of bed after a certain amount of time.
Right. And you're just running around Hogwarts like at all times of night.
Exactly. You running around Hogwarts at all times of night, and then you're going into the Forbidden Forest, which I get Harry Potter did a couple of times, but you're fighting grown people, like grown up adults in the Forbidden Forest, and just murking them trolls. Harry, like legitimately, Harry Potter and his friends had a trouble beating one troll, and you can murk like 3 at the same time as a 5th-year student. It's like. It's the little things like that. And I get it. It's a video game. You kind of have to video gamify it anyways. But
sure.
I think that's what makes Spider-Man and the Arkham games so great, is because they stay true to the mythology and the lore of like the games that they're presenting as a license, versus Hogwarts Legacy feels like a good tour of Hogwarts. But like
it is, absolutely.
Yeah. But is it really like, is it keeping true to like the mythology and the lore that is being presented here? Or is this just like a game that has a Hogwarts skin on it? And I think that's where like a lot of hardcore like Harry Potter fans think to themselves, is like, oh, this is a fun game, but this feels like Fable if Fable had a Hogwarts skin on it.
Wow. I haven't even heard Fable mentioned in a sentence in so long, man. I guess they just Xbox decided to just do away with that, man.
The crazy thing is like they announced a Fable. Like they announced.
When is that coming out? Or is it a remake? Is it a completely new situation?
It's a completely new Fable from the ground up, and the team from Playground Games, I believe, is doing it. The same team who's done a tremendous job on their Forza games, like the Forza racing games.
Amazing. By the way, I still love Forza.
Yeah, so that's the team that's doing Fable now.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think that's a good
way they turn out. You know what I mean? And it's interesting to hear so would you have rated your Harry Potter, if let's say that you split the hours, the first 50% of your hours, would you have rated it higher than the 6? And did the last 50% contribute to that 6 rating that you gave it?
I think the first 8 hours of that game would have been like an 8 out of 10, 8 to 9 out of 10, because I feel like that the prelude of that game to where you get all the way up until you hear the Hogwarts music, the Harry Potter music, and you get that introduction. It has that magic. It has that juice.
Awesome. It was great.
But like the more you play it, the more the game doesn't necessarily make sense, in the sense to where like, why are you hiding this secret from the rest of these teachers, other than the fact that like the headmaster is quote unquote like an evil person, but like the rest of these teachers are low-key just trying to help you. And by the way, like at fifth year, you're supposed to learn some advanced magic, sure, but like a lot of the spells that you're given into like using the game feel like they're like first year, second year kind of like spells that Harry Potter knew in his first year and second year kind of things. And then there's others that felt like they would have been a really cool addition to like this sort of like as a game. Like Glacius is a spell to where you can like freeze someone, or like freeze an area around you. That seems like it's made for a video game, like the fact that we got 3 fire spells that all do roughly the same thing.
Yeah,
it feels
it's hard to even kind of try to map those, right? Or try to decide which fire spell am I going to map, and they're all very similar.
So it feels like, it feels like this game was made by a couple of Harry Potter fans, and then like the vast majority of it was made by like people who like loosely knew Harry Potter, but like didn't necessarily think about like what would make the best Harry Potter game possible. It felt like, hey, this is our first major game. Like we only have done beforehand, that studio's only done like Cars, like the Cars IP games, not like actual like legit Cars. And I think they did like some stuff with Skylanders back in the day. So
massive jump to this AAA IP right here.
Yeah, and to that notion, like, congratulations, you did something really well, because like that's a huge jump. I give you all the kudos for that. It's just like you were saying though, and like you asked, I'll get back to the question at hand. Like that first 10 hours feels like a really good Harry Potter game, or a really good experience. And then you get more and more involved into it, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm like, the goblin part feels like it didn't really make sense with the world. Like you also have like an ex-Auror that you learn, which is a policeman in this universe. Like you have an ex-cop that works as the potions master, why wasn't he the guy to basically give you like tutelage and stuff like that? Like
he's retired now, bro. He's just slinging potions.
Exactly. But I'm like, he was like, it would have made complete sense for him to be the one to teach you like spells as you progress. Why is the flying instructor teaching you how to like do like a blasting spell, so to speak? That ain't got nothing to do with flying. Like, just stay in your lane, flying teacher. Like, that ain't got nothing to do. That ain't got nothing to do with anything. Or like, why is the care for magical creatures like instructor, why is she giving you like spells for you to learn outside of like caring for creatures? Like, if you were able to summon creatures and she gave you an ability in that wheelhouse, kudos, that makes complete sense. But for all these teachers to give you like busy work and then they'll teach you a spell outside of that, it feels weird. It feels grindy is what it feels like everything about this game, the more you play it, feels like it's more of like a grind to make the game longer than it really had any right to be.
And I hate that. I used to call those artificial game lengtheners. Like, I used to hate stuff like that. Like running back, revisiting certain areas, making it hard for you to get from one area to the next, and I'm like, stuff like that I don't like. Just make your game action packed, and that's why another reason why I love Bethesda games so much, because they're long, but none of it feels like it's cheating me. And I felt the same way about FromSoft games. Like, they were hard, but they were fair. I didn't feel like I was being cheated out of my time by playing those. And hearing you describe the grindy nature of the latter parts of the game, and hearing my friend who described it almost the exact same way, is kind of disheartening, man. In the sense of like, I guess it's not going to be game of the year, man. I mean, that doesn't sound great.
Again, I kid you not. I think like I believe IGN gave this like a 9 out of 10. It's like, I don't think that a 9 out of 10 is going to age well. I think more and more people are going to like, as more and more people play it, especially when they get their hands on like the last gen versions of these games, it's really going to feel grindy when you add a loading screen into everything that goes on.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I'm like, we're like blessed right now. We're playing on a like Xbox and a PS5, like the Series X, so to speak. Like, can you imagine how grindy that game is when you add in like a 20 to 30-second load screen?
Not every time, man, right? Because there's a lot of them. It would be a lot of them.
And especially when you're going in and out of like doors.
Exactly. Exactly. Nope, not for me, man. I don't know when I'm going back now. I'm just excited to play Yakuza now, man.
Yakuza is good. I want to hear your thoughts about that. But before we do that, I have an article right here. It says only 25% of people have beaten Hogwarts Legacy. Wow. Like, since its initial launch in February 2023, according to Games Radar. That is crazy to me. Like,
it's interesting because it was such the hype coming into it, and you would think that even the fandom would carry it over that number, right?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Now, they add like grindy parts to where like if you wanted to mainline the game, you still have to do like an 8 mission checklist in order.
I do not like games that do stuff like that. Like, don't make me do that. Like, when they used to do, so you know what some games do this. Like, you're playing an action game, but they give you certain stealth elements in between your action. Like, okay, your action's over here. It's like carrot on a stick mentality, right? Here's your action over here, but you got to sneak through these guards first. So you can't shoot anybody. You got to do that for the first like 20 minutes before you could ever get back to the whole reason you're playing this game. I don't like when games do stuff like that, man.
What else you been playing on Game Pass lately?
Besides the Persona games, I've been playing. I got sucker back into Cities Skylines, man. Like, it's you know what's crazy here, man. So here's my issue. My issue is I'll get on a game like Cities Skylines,
love it,
and I'll say, you know what, man, I'm gonna spend 10 minutes here, 10 or 15 minutes.
2
hours later, hours later, I'm still out here building my city because I can't leave it now. I still have a few things I need to do. I got to buy another section of land here. I got to try to work on my ore industry, my oil industry, and get that developed here. So I've been playing that. I've been randomly playing cities. And then the MLB, I really love the MLB. And these are just very strong games. I really like, because MLB is definitely not exclusive to Xbox, but it's exclusive to Game Pass, like being released day one free. Yeah. Like, I don't know why PlayStation is still holding on to that. Like, they could at least have said, you know what, let's we hate that Microsoft did that, but let's at least make it free on our PlayStation Premium. Maybe they put it behind some kind of paywall there.
Yeah.
But PlayStation Extra, they still haven't even done that. They haven't done it. So I'm like, MLB now is Xbox exclusive for me.
I'm the exact same way. I am the exact same way. Like, I used to play that game primarily on PlayStation because it was exclusive to PlayStation. But then I'm like,
Right.
I ain't about to pay $70 for that when it's on Game Pass.
No, not at all.
No. And the crazy thing is like, I hate it for like, I hate it for the narrative, but like that's killed their MSRP because now I'm like, now I can't see MLB not being a Game Pass like price now.
Nice.
Because yeah, if like next year they say this isn't coming day to date on Game Pass, they're like, hey, like this will now be a $30 experience that you have to pay for on both brands. I'm now spoiled with almost 3 years into Game Pass on MLB. I'm to that point to where I'm like, nah, bro, it's 20 bucks.
I'll wait it out, man.
Exactly. You come into one of these subscriptions eventually. Exactly. You and me are the same type of gamer because, like, I kid you not, when they announced that City Skylines remastered, I was all over it. Oh, so
all
good.
over it. Yo, there's another Cities coming out, and I don't know
this
if
year.
the release date is it this year.
This year they announced.
God, yes. I will be there for that. I wonder if I'm gonna have to buy that, man. I'm interested to see because I did buy Cities on the PlayStation back in the day with all the little packs and everything. I've purchased. I have history of purchasing Cities, so I might do it again, man.
That is so good. It is really good. And imagine if that's day on date on Game Pass, man.
Oh, that'd be so amazing. My God. I think they should. If I'm Xbox, I make a play for that. Because let's just get aggressive at this point. You know, the thing is about Microsoft, and it's not a fair fight money-wise. Like Microsoft is so much bigger of a company than Sony. Because I think that if you're looking from a gamer's perspective, these companies are even, and Sony maybe be slightly ahead in some people's eyes. But if you look at from a company perspective, it's not even remotely close. No. Microsoft is so much bigger than Sony. They can tax right off of Sony.
Exactly.
They can throw so much money at these companies. That I like to see the aggression, man. I really like where things are going.
Exactly. It is it's almost like, you know, Microsoft is McDonald's and like Sony is that burger place from Coming to America.
Right. And you think that, hey man, I really like that place. And in your head, maybe you think they're close. But in reality, they're not close.
No, as far as like as a company, no, they're not even close. But like, yeah, City Skylines right now is projected this fall. And I kid you not, when they announced
what a fall season here, man.
That's not a game of the year contender, but that's going to suck all my time up.
It's going to quite a bit, right? Quite a bit. And then, of course, you have the yearly games we have with the Maddens of the world that'll be coming out. I bought 2K very early last year. I typically don't buy 2K until the football season's over. Mm-hmm. But I bought it very early last year. I think Black Friday-ish around that time. So I'm probably going to be buying 2K, Madden, of course. I don't know what more because, you know, Madden, we're not really going to hear anything until we get into at least summertime. Mm-hmm. And I don't spend a ton of time looking into what the new Madden features are. I was very happy with the Field Pass. Was it Field Pass?
Field Sense, I think.
Field Sense. Yeah. Field Sense. I was very happy with that last year. I was very happy with that edition. And I'm very happy, too, to just deep dive into MLB, man. I love the little Negro Leagues edition they have on there. So with Satchel Paige and people like that, I'm very happy to start diving into it, and I'll be playing that probably throughout the summer.
I'm right there with you. MLB, especially the edition of the Negro League, has been like one of those things to where I've since time of recording, it's only come out like a week now, but like I've been diving into it. It's like that Michael Jordan challenge that you see in
yes, man,
that you see in a 2K, so to speak. And I love that. It just gives me a little incentives of like trying to master different elements of the game and also like give me a reason to play more so than just like try to beat this team in any given night. It's like, okay, and this time it's like you need to hit like one double in this game. And I'm like, okay, I can go for that.
That's more objective focus.
Yeah. That feels obtainable. And I it's that little check marks that kind of keep me interested in this because like I do like the documentary style of learning about like players that even I as a black man didn't necessarily know about. Like I knew of the name, but not necessarily the story behind the name, you know?
Yeah, I was a massive Negro League fan growing up. I read a book on it very early. I read it like back in high school. So I was very big fan of people like Rube Foster and Satchel Paige, but you would never really see them in games like that. So it's interesting to be able to have it lead like out front. It's out front in the game. You don't have to like dig deep, go into like the card kind of system and try to find a satchel page. Like he's actually right there in front. So I'm a massive fan of that, and I'm hoping that more games like that come out. That's one of the things I really loved about Gran Turismo. If you're into cars, I used to tell people like the difference between Gran Turismo and Forza. Like I like Forza better. It's more my type of game.
Same.
I own both for sure. But if you love cars, man, Gran Turismo is like a love letter to cars, man. Like if you really love cars, Gran Turismo is a game for you because of how much histrionics it's in the game. There's so much history that they kind of put into that. That I feel like that would be a great game for people also. So I really hope that more sports games bite that documentary type style where they're kind of giving you much more of that. And me being a sports fiend, I'll eat that stuff up anyway. But it adds an element of play to the game that I think is great.
For sure. And like with NBA and like NBA 2K this year, they did the My Eras mode. And the My Eras. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Love it.
Yeah, I want to see that in Madden this year. I don't care if it's
why have they not done it, Sebastion? What is EA thinking here? Because even when they were doing the Jordan challenges back, because the first Jordan challenge was 2011. That's like 10 years, 12 years ago.
Exactly.
But it was first Jordan games, and I'm like, what are you doing sitting on your hands in the Madden situation of biting that style? Like, 2K and these other places don't mind biting from you. So you need to be taking from them. Look at it. They started with this ultimate team mode, and everybody now there's an ultimate team mode in golf. Like you can pretty much have an ultimate team mode in any sports game. They bit that to completely. So you should need to be taken from some of these other games. And when it's Madden, it always feels like, what's crazy about Madden? You don't even have classic teams on there. You don't even have that.
It's ridiculous.
These are guys wearing helmets. Like if I'm looking at 2K and seeing how they have to character model these guys, and they got to character model all these old players. Madden, you don't have as much of a heavy lift here in this capacity, in this way. Why have you not gone to classic teams in Madden? I have zero clue what the thought pattern is for not going down that road.
For sure not. And it's one of those things to where like, and I hate to say it like this, but you can always tell which modes they put emphasis on. It's because like they're always front and center, and they're the ones who feel like they actually get upgrades. Like the Ultimate Team mode, you can always see that they're adding upgrades.
Man, for sure. It's a constant moneymaker though, and I think like they can microtransaction those type of game modes to death. So I think that's where they're focused on. They're focused on where can we make the most microtransactions, what game modes lend themselves to that, because you had so many franchise players for years complaining about that. The fact that franchise is just like over there to the side as a redheaded stepchild. Nobody, I mean, we'll add something to the franchise. Maybe we'll do press conferences now. We'll throw that to them, and maybe you guys are like that. Meanwhile, we're focusing so much energy on Ultimate Team, which I do like, because the Ultimate Team is a mode I play. By far, it's the only mode I really play on Madden is Ultimate Team. Maybe I'll dabble in the franchise, but I'm way more of an Ultimate Team guy. And I'm the same way in 2K. I'm a My Team guy. Like I don't really dabble in the franchise. My career has gotten so microtransaction focus center that I have a hard time with that, because my career has gotten to the point where when you first get the game, you're out there with your overall 65 player, and guys are already like 95 running around out there. And you're like, this game has been out for 24 hours. Like, how is this possible? So it's stuff like that is a real big turnoff.
So we're almost the opposite in the sense that I'm a franchise guy. Like I will go in and I'm like, I can pick out a scrub team, the bottom of the barrel team, or I'll usually pick my Eagles and Madden, or maybe right now I probably won't pick the Eagles because they used to be a powerhouse. But like I usually try to pick like a scrub kind of team, and then I try to rebuild them up and try to see how many years
through the draft and trades and stuff of that nature.
For sure, for sure. Like that to me is like, as far as like how interested I am, because like in real life I always kind of like pretend to play GM in my head.
For sure.
Like, trying to analyze trades and such like that. And I also do the same thing in like MLB and 2K. So like those are the modes like I spend time in. I'm almost like that what was the movie Moneyball, to where like I'm always trying to think of different ways,
juggle the cap.
Yeah, exactly. That's the type of like chill and relax mode I get into in sports games. And then I'll also like play and try to see how they kind of like the chemistry kind of works together. Then but like for the most part, I tend to stay away from like Ultimate Team and both the My Career modes, because both of those have like microtransactions, and I'm not about that life.
Yes,
but, like,
they are there, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I want to ask you before we get up out of here. Like, I want to ask you, like, You said you're going to be playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. Is there any other like games on the horizon other than Starfield that's like that's a day one for me?
I'm gonna be there for Star Wars because I love Star Wars, so I'm gonna be there for that, and I love the last iteration of that game. So I'm gonna be there for that. And that's really all I can see right now on the horizon. The Course of Cities is this year. I'm gonna play Cities, but that's more so like in the same vein as my sports games. That's a game that's kind of constant play throughout the year. You know, I might spend a few minutes, might spend a few hours, like constant kind of play throughout the year for a game like that. But I would say the Spider-Man is intriguing to me, especially if it's guaranteed, because I know I've been a gamer for so long that I'm jaded in the sense of games having certain release windows. Like I'll believe it when I see it. I need to see that thing actually touch down before I don't even remotely get excited. I'm only remotely excited for Starfield now because it's been pushed back so many times. So I'm like, they can only push it back so much further, you know? So I'm excited for that because I feel like it's actually coming. Spider-Man actually lands and gets here. I am going to be excited for that. And I think Star Wars. So Star Wars, the Like a Dragon just got added literally this conversation. So Like a Dragon, Star Wars, probably in that order.
I feel so sorry for Wulong now.
Man, it's getting pushed further and further back. That person that you keep saying you're gonna call, like, hey man, we'll call, we'll hang out. And then somebody else calls, and we'll hang out next week. We'll hang out next week. Next thing you know, it's been a year. And that's what Wulong is feeling like. It's feeling like we'll hang out next week. And I don't know if next week's actually gonna be next week, man. It might be next year. Who knows? And Lord forbid it goes off Game Pass. Oh my goodness. It's
no chance at that point.
Zero chance.
Speaking of Game Pass, next week, Bethesda's got a title coming, Ghostwire Tokyo on Game Pass.
Yes.
It initially dropped for PlayStation a year ago. Are you going to be checking that one out?
I played it a bit when it dropped on PlayStation. It's okay.
That's exactly how I feel. It's
just okay. It's like meh. You know what I mean? Okay. If I had nothing else in life going on, which is
very
not
rare.
What's been happening as of late, maybe I'll play it, but it's looking like no. It's below Wulong, man. I mean, I'm not checking for that.
I felt the same way. I played another game that came on Game Pass recently called Atomic Heart.
I played it as well.
Yeah, did you? You felt that same way, that meh kind of feeling?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's not like those games when you play those games, they're not bad games.
No.
But it's hard. It's just hard right now. There's so much vying for your attention. It's difficult to pick those up and like not play other better games that are available.
So, Reg, before we go though, where can the good people find you?
Find me on reginatl.com, juststats.com. We're probably going to start here on YouTube with Just the Stats here at some point, venturing foray into the video world here. So I'll probably come back on at some point and give people more details on that. But you can definitely find me there for now, and on wherever you find your podcast at, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff.
All right, Reg, before you go, I got one last invitation for you. Play Yakuza Like a Dragon. Give that a good shot. And then come back on the show and tell people how great that is or why you didn't feel it. How's that sound?
I will do it, my friend. I still got some Persona time here, so we'll probably put that out a few weeks. And then I will be there. I'll be back whenever you need me. And I always love coming on and talking some gaming, bro.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you, Reg. Thank you, everyone, for watching today's episode. Don't forget, you can check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms right here on youtube.com and everywhere where you like listening to podcasts. So, you can join the Single Player Experience Discord to find out about good single player games you could be playing, just like Reg did during this episode with Yakuza Like a Dragon. Find us right there. The link will be in the description of this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Sebastion. This has been Reg, and we out. Peace.
All right.
All right, let's see. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked the video, hit that like button. Also, for more videos just like this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right here. Thanks again for watching the video, and for more like it, stay right here at the Pro Nerd Report channel. So that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this one. I also want to let you know about the Single Player Experience Discord server. It's a perfect place for single player gamers to talk about the good single player games that they've been playing lately and to get video game recommendations. Think of it kind of like a book club for single player gamers. The link to join will be in the description. Once you're in, feel free to share your video game backlog list, talk about the good single player games you've been playing, or give your feedback on the show. If you have a game you think it should be recommended and should be reviewed, let me know about it right there. Before we go, I just want to thank you once again for listening to today's episode. Stay safe, stay gaming, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.